Russia stresses that certain sides have no interest in achieving stability in the region and obstruct any political solution in Syria. Our army units target terrorist hideouts for Al-Nusra Front and eliminate their leaders. Israeli occupation troops impose a closure on Karm Abu Salim crossing. Good afternoon, this is Irado Krikorian with the news in English. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has affirmed the presence of certain sides that have no interest in establishing stability in the region and are working to obstruct the efforts aimed at finding a solution to the crisis in Syria. In statements to a Russian channel, Lavrov said his country has been trying for a long time to exert efforts to calm down the situation in Syria, and that whenever the slightest spark of hope appeared in the horizon, certain sides would do their best to undermine such hopes and push the situation to the verge of war. The Russian minister said the Syrian government has formed a team for dialogue and negotiations, pointing out that he discussed the issue with American Secretary of State John Kerry in Berlin. He added that Kerry told him he would contribute to Syria opposition's formation of their own team for the negotiations. Lavrov said it was unfortunate that neither Washington nor any other side has succeeded in urging the opposition to form their team to the negotiations. He stressed at the same time that the Arab League has cancelled its role as a mediator to solve the crisis in Syria when it gave Syria's seat to the so-called Doha coalition. Our army units continued to chase armed terrorist groups affiliated with Al-Nusra terrorist front in the city of Al-Mleha in Damascus countryside. Upon receiving information about an incursion by terrorists into Al-Mleha and Jaramana in order to create chaos inside the city, army units confronted them and assumed full control of the area surrounding Jaramana up to Aqraba Bridge. The citizens of Al-Mleha were able to return to their homes thanks to the heroic efforts exerted by the army to clear these areas of those terrorists who were committing acts of murder and theft against ordinary citizens. Our armed forces continue to pursue the armed terrorist groups in the country. Together with the borders guards, they foiled an infiltration attempt by terrorists from Lebanon into Syria across Halat site in Tel Kalakh suburbs in the governorate of Homs. They killed and wounded several members of the group and forced others to flee in the direction of Lebanese territories. The infiltration coincided with an attack and fire shooting by terrorist groups inside Lebanese lands in the direction of the Syrian side of the borders. Our armed forces also carried out an operation in Sharshash village in Al-Rastan suburbs, killing terrorist Hamza Abbas, the field leader of the so-called the 1st Battalion, together with 6 members of the group. In Deir ez-Zor, our armed forces continue their operations against terrorists. They eliminated all the members of a terrorist group that called itself Aisha Battalion near Wadi Al-Ain Bridge on the new Deir ez-Zor Aleppo Road. Among the killed terrorists, the leader of the group, Hamoud Al-Ali Al-Hamdan, Mahmoud Ali Al-Nu'mi, Muhammad Yasser Al-Abdullah, and Abdul Hamid Al-Asad Al-Akrash were identified. In Mohassan village, the army killed and wounded a large number of terrorists who perpetrated acts of looting and assaults against citizens. Among them, Abdul Malik Al-Karim Al-Jad'an and Muhammad Al-Aithan were identified. Moreover, our armed forces clashed with the terrorist group in Al-Urfi neighborhood, eliminating all the members of the group, including their leader Khalid Nasr Al-Tabash, Dawood Al-Saleh, Muhammad Fataiq Hamdoush, and Humam Aisam Al-Awad. In a qualitative operation, units of our armed forces eliminated dozens of terrorists, some of foreign nationalities, who belong to the terrorist al-Nusra Front in Latakia countryside, destroying a number of their vehicles and equipment. News sources from the governorate confirmed that a whole convoy of vehicles equipped with machine guns was destroyed, in addition to destroying terrorist dens for al-Nusra terrorists in Al-Maz'ala village. A news source pointed out that our army units destroyed 2 hideouts for terrorists in Al-Frez and Saqiyat al-Kurt, killing large numbers of terrorists in Al-Ghnamiyeh, Kinsaba and Khan al-Joz villages. "50 people from Damascus governorate who were involved in recent events have been released after they had undertaken not to carry arms again or perpetrate any acts of sabotage or any encroachment on Syria's security in the future." The Supreme Relief Committee's meeting focused on the need for all concerned sides to be committed to the implementation of all measures and policies outlined in the committee's working plan for this month. Minister of Social Affairs, head of the committee, Dr. Kinda Shammat, said, "The World Food Organization has pledged to offer 300,000 food baskets to the Syrian Red Crescent to be distributed in the Syrian governorate and 200,000 baskets to be presented to the societies that have committed themselves to the work measures and have been chosen to sign the relevant agreements." On his part, Minister of State for the Red Crescent Affairs, Joseph Swed, said the map of aid distribution that comes from the subcommittees in the governorate to the Supreme Committee will be followed up. This relief map, he added, will be updated to meet the basic requirements. The Russian Minister of Emergency has declared that it had sent a plane carrying humanitarian assistance to displaced Syrian citizens in Jordan. The plane had taken off this morning with foodstuffs and basic materials on its board. Russia Today website, which reported this, added that this is the second plane of assistance that Russia sends to displaced Syrian citizens in Jordan. The first was sent last week with electricity generators, children's food and basic materials on its board. Russia has sent 2 planes of assistance to Lebanon for the same purpose, the last of which was the plane sent yesterday, which carried 27 tons of humanitarian assistance. Welcome back. In occupied Palestine and for the 4th consecutive day, Israeli occupation troops continue to close Karam Abu Salim crossing southeast of Gaza Strip, denying Palestinian citizens access to transport, goods and fuel amidst unjust siege imposed upon them for years by the Israeli occupation authorities in the West Bank. Meanwhile, Israeli soldiers arrested 4 Palestinian citizens in Beit Lahem and Hebron, including liberated prisoner Mu'taz Abeido. On the other hand, clashes erupted between Palestinians and dozens of Israeli settlers in the West Bank, during which 13 Palestinians were wounded as some suffer from suffocation cases because of tear gas. Hundreds of Kuwaitis organized a demonstration in front of the main courts complex, calling for releasing political prisoners who were detained under the pretext of criticizing the Emir of Kuwait and calling for political and social reforms. This followed a wave of protests by Kuwaiti citizens who were calling for introducing basic political reforms. With this, we end our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business